Iranian attacks on oil tankers and commercial ships in the Strait of Hormuz continued on Thursday as oil prices soared back above $100 a barrel. The Czech Republic is reducing its defense spending, falling short of the 2% of GDP NATO target in its 2026 budget.
A Hungarian government delegation has entered Ukraine to assess the Druzhba pipeline, damaged in an alleged Russian drone strike in January.
Iranian attacks on oil tankers and commercial ships in the Strait of Hormuz continued on Thursday as oil prices soared back above $100 a barrel, despite a record release of strategic crude by the International Energy Agency. A projectile struck a container ship near the United Arab Emirates, and 2 tankers in Iraqi waters were also reported struck, as well as a fuel tank in Bahrain. While Iran said it was ready for a long war of attrition that would destroy the world economy, Trump continued to claim the U.S. has won the war.
We don't want to leave early, do we? We got to finish the job, right? Over the past 11 days, our military has virtually destroyed Iran. Tough country. Their air force is gone, totally gone. That took the better part of about 3 hours.
Meanwhile, Israel's military said multiple waves of Iranian missiles were fired at Israel early on Thursday and that air defenses were deployed to intercept them. Israel said that it was in turn carrying out wide-scale strikes on Tehran and a Hezbollah stronghold in Lebanon's capital. Lebanon said an Israeli strike on central Beirut's seafront early on Thursday killed at least 7 people.
In a video conference on Wednesday with the leaders of the G7 on the Iran war, French President Emmanuel Macron acknowledged that Iran's military capabilities had been weakened but had not been fully eliminated.
Il y a déjà aujourd'hui des dommages considérables qui ont été portés aux capacités balistiques, militaires de l'Iran. L'Iran néanmoins continue d'agresser plusieurs pays de la région. Et donc ces capacités ne sont pas réduites à zéro.
The G7 leaders also discussed the situation in the Strait of Hormuz and the possibility of Iran laying mines in this narrow maritime passage. Macron stated he had not seen evidence of this taking place.
Je n'en ai pas la confirmation, ni par des services partenaires, ni par nos propres services.
The United States announced that it had destroyed 16 Iranian ships capable of laying mines. Mining the strait would have serious consequences for global trade. Approximately 20% of the world's oil passes through this maritime zone.
The International Energy Agency said that its member countries have agreed to release oil from its reserves in a response to the Iran war. The agency agreed to release 400 million oil barrels, the largest emergency oil distribution in its history.
This is a major action aiming to alleviate the immediate impacts of the disruption in markets. But, to be clear, the most important thing for a return to stable flows of oil and gas is the resumption of transit through the Strait of Hormuz.
The decision aims to bring down oil prices amid the ongoing crisis in the Middle East. Iran has effectively halted cargo traffic through the Strait of Hormuz, through which around a fifth of all oil is shipped from the Persian Gulf to the Indian Ocean. Germany, Austria and Japan had already announced they would release parts of their oil reserves as well.
European Commissioner for Energy Dan Jorgensen urged European countries to lower their taxes on electricity as soon as possible in response to the current spikes in energy prices due to the war in the Middle East.
Of course, there is a very clear concern for us that the prices are too high for our citizens and our industry. We've sent a very clear signal to the member states of the Union. We recommend that you lower the taxes on electricity. That would make it easier for your industry to compete. It will make it easier for your citizens.
He said the rise of global energy prices due to the war in the Middle East shows the EU should move away from fossil fuel, stressing the green transition would lower prices, help decarbonize and improve energy security. However, the energy situation is not as bad as in February 2022, when Russia launched its full-scale invasion of Ukraine, and Europe currently doesn't have security of supply issues, Jorgensen stated.
Czech lawmakers approved the country's 2026 budget on Wednesday, which falls short of the 2% NATO target for defense spending, despite pressure from the United States and the country's own president. The legislators loyal to the new government of populist Prime Minister Andrej Babiš voted to allocate just over 1.7% of gross domestic product for the defense ministry. The Czech spending would inch above 2% only if funding for defense-related projects at other ministries is factored in. It was not clear if that would be acceptable to the alliance, which the Czech Republic has been a member of since 1999. The new government of Andrej Babiš says the state budget is strained and it has other priorities, including healthcare. President Petr Pavel had urged lawmakers to increase the budget and noted the ongoing Russian invasion of Ukraine, but still agreed to sign the budget once it was passed.
A Hungarian government delegation has entered Ukraine to inspect the Druzhba oil pipeline, which has been out of operation since an alleged Russian drone strike damaged it in late January, resulting in an escalating dispute between Budapest and Kyiv that has drawn in the EU. The mission, which includes a deputy minister at Hungary's Ministry of Energy and a team of oil industry specialists, comes after months of disputes involving Hungary and Slovakia. Both nations are the two remaining importers of Russian crude via the Druzhba pipeline, and Ukraine, which controls the transit infrastructure on its territory. The pipeline has become a flashpoint in Hungarian domestic politics ahead of parliamentary elections in April, in which Prime Minister Viktor Orban's Fidesz party faces a significant challenge from Peter Mayer's Tisza party. Orban has made energy security a central campaign theme, accusing President Volodymyr Zelensky of exploiting the pipeline disputes to destabilize his government. Europe's energy cooperation with Azerbaijan is more important than ever as the ongoing turmoil in the Middle East rattles global markets, European Council President Antonio Costa said Wednesday during a visit to the country. Costa's visit comes as Europe fears the Iran war could further disrupt energy supplies and push prices even higher.
Today, the impact is clear. With the war in Iran shaking global energy markets, our energy partnership is more important than ever. We are now working on a new framework for a closer cooperation between the European Union and Azerbaijan. This sends a strong signal of our joint vision for the future. We are also exploring ways to deepen our cooperation in defence and security.
Important part of our partnership always was, is, and definitely will be cooperation in the energy field, especially after 2022 when we signed with the European Commission a document on strategic partnership in the energy field. And since that time we increased our gas export to European countries with respect to the volumes and with respect to the number of countries.
Aliyev said that some 16 European countries currently receive Azerbaijani gas, with 10 EU member states among the recipients.
Juliette Binoche visited Thessaloniki in a different role this time. The renowned star of cinema presented her first directorial work, Inai in Motion, at the Thessaloniki Documentary Festival. The film follows her collaboration with the famous British dancer and choreographer Akram Khan. The acclaimed actor spoke to Euronews and, among other things, referred to the events unfolding around the world, including wars, crises and genocides.
My fears.
Talking about artists and what is happening around us today, we live in increasingly troubled times with wars and genocides around us. So what can artists do about all of that? And is there a time for doing something else except art? Actions?
We're here as artists to celebrate life and to love it and to be united. And I think we are all different. Where each of us, we have different points of view, different, needs. But deep down, there's a unity we can find. And it's for us to make this journey, this road, and walking on the road of each of us, in order to find our being humble again. I think that's what it is. There's a lot of egos going on. And, we have to let go of a lot of values that we think were cannot change. It's not true. A lot of values can change and will change because nature will tell us to change, but if we don't do it with our intelligence and our wisdom, we will be told with a big finger, so we better change. And artists, I think it's a place where you can ask questions, explore questions, and it's about beauty. Deep down, it's about beauty.